This is the plaintiff, Christopher Smith. He says he took his car to the defendant's garage for an oil change, and now he has a blown engine because the inept mechanic didn't put in enough oil. All he knows is he had a perfectly fine engine when he went there, and now he has a worthless one, and is seeking the $3,300 it's going to cost him to get a new car. This is the defendant, Greg Vassar. He says he's been in business for over 40 years, and he put the exact oil the plaintiff requested into the car, and he used enough of it. This notion of him not adding the correct amount of oil is baloney, because if he was short on oil, which he was not, the oil light would come on in the car, and it did not. That guy has 122,000 miles on it, and with an engine that old, anything can happen. He's accused of being a little too slippery.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant's garage screwed up his engine over an oil change, but the defendant says the car had 122,000 miles on it, for crying out loud. It's the case of oil's well that ends well.
Thank you, Douglas. Christopher Smith, you are suing Smith West Service Center Incorporated, represented here by Greg Vassar. You're the owner?
Yes.
Okay. For $3,300, the amount of money you paid for a car a year ago, which according to you, they ruined.
Correct.
All right. What happened?
I purchased a car back in 2015 in
And
January.
it was a what?
I'm sorry?
What kind of car?
It's a Hyundai Santa Fe 2003.
2003. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
It's a V6 3.5.
Okay.
Then in 2016, on May 1st, I was doing a 5-borough bike tour. My birthday's on the 3rd. And then was going to be going to Delaware for my niece's communion and Mother's Day. On May 6th, that Thursday, Friday, I was also getting dental work after work at the clinic, and needed to go ahead and wanted to get an oil change before I took my trip to Delaware.
So you bring it to them to do an oil change.
Correct.
And what went wrong? Why are we here?
Subsequently, after I went to leave Delaware, I started here. I stalled out before I could even leave the block.
You stalled out before you could leave the block of where his shop is?
No, I made it. I went all the way to Delaware.
Oh, okay.
I did have an audiobook on loud. It was Purpose-Driven Life. At which point, so I didn't.
You are one kind of detail guy.
Sorry.
I know about your dental work, about your reading I'm still trying to get to this oil change.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So when I was leaving
what was the point of telling me that you had a book on? Because maybe you didn't hear noise? Is that what you're saying?
Right. I did have it
How
up
loud was the book?
Well, there was also, that evening, there was a tremendous storm. So there was thunder, there was lightning, there was super rain.
You get to
so I
Delaware.
did not hear. So I get to Delaware, we have the communion.
It stalls out when?
When I go to leave that Monday.
Okay. So what'd you do?
I waited a little bit. I tried to start it again, and it did go. It sounded like it was running okay. So I proceeded to go ahead and go back home.
So you drove from Delaware back to New York? Where are you from?
From Long
New York?
Island. Yes.
How many hours is it from Delaware back to New York?
Approximately 3.
Okay, and how was the drive? Did anything go wrong during the drive?
Yes. So on the way back, when I got around the New Jersey Turnpike, the check engine light came on. Then it went off a few minutes later. I had the oil light come on. It went off a few minutes later. I started hearing a noise going down the road, the Jersey Turnpike coming back to New York. The noise went away. The noise came back and then went away. By the time I got to Long Island, there wasn't any noise anymore. So I was hoping that the problem had rectified.
Magically?
At that point.
You're not a car guy, are you?
No, not very much at the
okay.
moment.
So what'd you do? Nothing?
No, at that point, it was late at night. I got home, I parked it, and I was driving it to work, just to and from work. The noise never reappeared. And then I started hearing the knocking noise on Thursday, May 26th, again. This time it was a bit louder.
When do you finally take it to a mechanic?
Right then. So
what?
Right then.
Right then.
On May
3
26th.
weeks after driving it with the noise. Okay.
When the noise came back, yes.
Okay.
I didn't know. So I took it to the place 2 doors over from work. I had gotten referred there from my physical therapist, and they said it had something to do with the oil change. I went immediately to Smith West Service Center. and said, hey, I was
Wait,
just
who said it had something to do with the oil change?
the mechanic that's right next.
May I please see that in writing?
Yes, I have that receipt.
Where do they say that? Where do they say that the oil change caused damage to your car?
I thought it was stated on there.
Well, maybe that's not the right document or something, or I just didn't see it. Can you point it out to me?
It does say need engine.
Yeah, I know it needs an engine. It has 122,000 miles
check
on
car
it,
for-
and it's 13 years old.
Check car for noise, and they had to put in 4.5 quarts of oil.
Right.
3 weeks
That-
later after my oil change.
I understand. Okay, but that doesn't mean it has something to do with an oil change. That could mean that something happened that leaked the oil. Did you? Does this car? Do cars go on a lift when you put in oil now?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, they do?
Well, in my shop, they do, yeah.
How come?
Well, because we can change your oil, we can change your engine. We're a complete repair shop.
So, do you remember this car? Did you work on it or somebody
I did
else?
not work on it.
Okay.
No, I'm the
So
owner.
it's up on the lift, and what?
And we change the oil. The
Does
customer
anybody
waited
remember
for-
the car or not really?
Not really. The customer, we do maybe 10, 12 oil changes at least a day. And this was, when I heard about it, was 25 days later or so.
So when you do the oil change, are you able to tell if there's a leak?
If there was a leak, at that time when we had the car, we would have pointed out to him. And also, anytime we ever do an oil change on the car, after we're done with the car, before we back it out and the car is running, the technician looks underneath the car to make sure that nothing that he could have possibly missed is causing an oil leak to happen.
In every single oil change?
Every single
What do
oil
you charge
change,
for an oil change?
$39.95, unless you
Okay.
remember AAA, you do get a good discount on it.
All right. So you hear from him 3 weeks later, and what are you the one who hears from him or somebody else?
No, the plaintiff called me and told me that he was stuck with his car. He had a problem with the engine, thought it had something to do with the oil change that I did. I said, you know, we did the oil change a number of weeks ago. I don't know how many miles you drove. On a car with 120,000 miles, over 120,000 miles, anything is possible.
What does the oil do in my car?
It lubricates all the moving metal parts that have friction. The oil starts in the oil pan. The oil pump takes that oil, pushes it through the crankshaft to produce more pressure than the pump can produce, and then it pushes it all the way up to the top of the engine through those crankshaft journals, back over the lifters and the valves, and then drains back through open galleys back down into the oil pan, and it's constantly
Oh, it's like
flowing
a
through
heart.
the engine. Exactly,
It's like a heart.
it is.
So, car has 122,000 miles. Plaintiff complains 3 weeks after the car goes in. Is the plaintiff stuck in this case?
Yes, he is.
Why?
Because for one, you can't prove that actually that the oil who did the oil change was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
3 weeks is too long?
It's too long, and it probably was previous damage to the car before he brought it in.
Fair enough. What do you say?
Yes, I agree, because I think the mistake belong to the owner of the car. Yeah, because
Because the owner, but just what he said, which is that the owner of the car, first of all, waited 3 weeks, which is too long, going inside the courtroom.
Tell me again what evidence you have is their fault.
I have that. I also have another receipt. However, I did
Yeah, that
not.
one's not doing
I
it.
did not call, but I showed up there, and I was the gentleman that had serviced me or took my car for servicing the day of. He was there again. He was yelling at me. He was very abrasive. He looked it up in the computer and said, "I don't want to deal with you. You're wasting our time. Please get out of here." I said, "Look, just can you come outside and listen to it? It's knocking. It's making a sound." He said, "I'll go ahead and come out there, but that's it." Turned it on. It did not make the sound. I said, "Can we just look under the hood, please?" He said, "No." Started screaming at me, "Just get out of here. You're wasting our time," and so forth, and other names.
Does that sound like your guy?
Does not sound like my shop at all.
I never called. All I did was come straight in.
Okay, but
Okay.
you know, here's the thing, Mr. Smith, though. But in order to get them to pay you $3,300 for a new engine, you have to prove that what happened to your car did not happen as a result of you driving all the way to Delaware. Did not happen as a result of, you know, the age of your car. That something else isn't wrong with your car. All we know, and all you've been able to prove here today, is that you need a new engine, and that you're leaking oil. But you have not been able to prove that they did something to cause that in a 13-year-old car. Maybe it's just one of those things. you know, you have the burden when you come into court of proving that. And I just don't see it in any of your documents or any of your evidence. There's no one saying, look at these idiots, they put something in backwards and that caused this to seize. And there's nothing like that. I have had cases like that. Okay. And then those idiots have to pay for a new engine. But I'm not hearing that in this case. So it's not looking good for you.
I understand. I can appreciate that.
Okay.
I was trying to go ahead and reflect that in these receipts. I do have another receipt I got. I did move. I was moving in the process, so at the new apartment.
What were you wearing while you moved? No, I'm just kidding, because you're such a detail guy.
Shorts and a t-shirt. It was summer.
You're such a detail man.
Sorry.
So I'll ask my husband a question, and he'll go, yes, no. Yeah, it was great. That's all I'll hear, you know? Engine needs replacing or major repairs. Oh, all right. That's not particularly specific. Okay. Mr. Smith, you're out of gas. Out of gas. I rule in favor of the defendant.
Thank you.
Well, he's unable to prove his case, so Mr. Smith has lost here in the People's Court. What do you do now? What's the status of the car?
I'll have to go ahead and either sell it for parts or it's not worth repairing.
Okay.
But I'll look at it as a on the bright side, and I'm going to be looking at a new car in the future, I guess.
Well,
so
enjoy it.
all right, I appreciate it.
Okay, and listen carefully.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and pay attention to it. All right,
appreciate
thank you
it.
very
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome. Mr. Vassar, the defendant's on his way out of the courtroom. What do you think happened? Any idea?
Well, you know, we did everything we could and we were supposed to do, and I am sorry that he seems like a nice fella that he lost his car. You know, I'm a great believer of paying things forward, and I had someone just recently, and it's funny, they gave me an 05 Hyundai Sonata, which his car was an 03 Hyundai Sonata, and it needed a small amount of work, and I feel bad for him. I'd be happy to let him have the car.
Really?
Yes, I would.
So you're serious? You really mean you would do that?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Is Mr. Smith back there? Has he left yet? Hold on, don't stay right here. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Could you step back here, please?
Yes.
Mr. Vassar has just made an extraordinary offer for you. Tell him what you just told me.
Okay, well, I'm a strong believer of paying things forward. And as luck would have it, or strange it would be, I had a customer just recently, had a 05 Hyundai Santa Fe, who needed some minor work, a timing belt. He didn't want to fix it. He gave me the car. I'm offering you the car for free.
Wow, God bless you.
Well, you're a nice fella.
Thank you.
I don't want to see you without a car.
I don't know what to say except God bless you.
great,
Thank you.
thank you.
I lost my words.
All right, when you can come to the shop, I'll be happy to turn the title over to
My
you.
pleasure.
Oh,
Really
okay,
appreciate
great.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
This
much.
is an
welcome.
absolute first. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the Price is Right here. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. What a generous offer.
Well,
You are
oh,
quite a
happy
gentleman.
to
Thank
do
you,
it.
thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much, folks. What do you think of that, Harvey? That's a total first for us. How about it?
Well, Doug, I have worked on the People's Court for 182 years, and I have never seen anything like this in the hallway before. It's really amazing. I mean, what the defendant did is such a good thing. I mean, this is, to me, the paradigm of paying it forward. I mean, this guy did such a good thing. Okay, and that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.